My fiancé said, "You're not allowed to ask questions." I replied, "Then I can't marry you." Then I matched her silence, stopped sharing my daily life, took space at my brother's place and waited as a hidden contact, a bar meeting, and one confession finally exposed what she'd buried for years. AF Tales is back with another story. This one is about a man whose fiancée declared her past off limits, then panicked when he stopped giving her full access to his life. See if you think the main character waited too long to act. My fiancé announced, "My past is off limits. You're not allowed to ask questions." I replied, "Understood." Then I stopped sharing my present and future with her too. That was when she learned something important. A one-way relationship does not work for long, especially when marriage is supposed to be next. I was 31, she was 29, and we had been together for 3 years. We got engaged 8 months before all of this, with the wedding planned for the following spring. Up until about 6 weeks before everything ended, I honestly thought I was marrying my best friend. We talked about everything. Career goals, family baggage, dumb college stories, random fears, the whole thing. That was part of why her sudden switch felt so strange. It was not like we had always been private people. We had built the relationship on openness, or at least I thought we had. The whole thing started over a normal question. We were going through old photos for a wedding slideshow her mother wanted to put together. She was showing me pictures from college, laughing at old outfits and sorority events, when I saw one with a guy standing close to her, his arm around her shoulders, both of them smiling like they knew each other well. I pointed at the picture and asked, "Who's that?" Her whole body changed. It was immediate, like someone flipped a switch behind her eyes. "That's nobody," she said. I looked at the photo again. "Okay, but like an ex, a friend." She slammed the album shut, actually slammed it. "I don't want to talk about my past relationships," she said. "Actually, I've been meaning to bring this up. My past is off limits. You're not allowed to ask questions about it." I just stared at her. We had talked about exes before. I knew about the college boyfriend, the situationship after that, the short thing with some musician. She knew about my 2 serious exes. This had never been some forbidden area between us. "Since when?" I asked. "Since now," she said. "I'm establishing a boundary. You need to respect it." Now, I'm not a guy who thinks he needs to investigate every chapter of a partner's life. I do not need a full report on every date, every kiss, every mistake, but this felt different. We were planning a wedding. We had shared almost everything. Then suddenly, there was a locked room in the house I was apparently not allowed to even look at. That was the first real red flag. Not just the secrecy, but the sudden demand that I accept it without question. So I tried to stay calm and have a real conversation. "Can you help me understand why? Did something happen that you're not ready to talk about? Because I can give you time if—" "No," she cut in. "It's not about time, it's about boundaries. My past is my past. It doesn't affect us. You need to accept that or we have a problem." There it was, the ultimatum. Accept total silence about a whole part of her life or I was the problem. So I said, "Understood, I'll respect that completely." She looked relieved, almost pleased, like she had won something. What she did not understand was that boundaries go both ways. If she wanted privacy, I was fully prepared to respect privacy. Over the next few days, I made one simple adjustment. I stopped sharing, not dramatically, not with speeches. I just became polite and vague. She asked what I was doing that weekend with my friends. "Oh, just stuff." She asked what a long work call had been about. Just work things. She asked what my mother said on the phone. Family stuff. At first, she did not notice, then she noticed, then she got irritated. "Why are you being so vague?" "I'm not being vague," I said. "I'm just keeping some things to myself. Kind of like how you have things you keep to yourself." "That's different." "How?" She had no answer to that, because there really was not one. Either we share or we do not. You cannot demand full access to someone's current life while locking them out of your own history and calling it healthy. About a week into this, she sat down after dinner and tried a softer tone. "I feel like we're disconnected," she said. "Like you're pulling away from me." I'm not pulling away, I said. I'm respecting boundaries, same as you, but you're being cold. I'm being private. There's a difference. You taught me that. She hated hearing her own words reflected back at her. The next day, she dropped the softer act and switched to anger. You're being passive-aggressive. No, I said, I'm being private. This is ridiculous. I'm asking for the same standard you asked for. She crossed her arms. I'm asking about your day. I'm not interrogating your life. And I asked one normal question about a photo. She opened her mouth, then closed it. That silence told me more than any speech could have. At this point, what would you have done? Because this is where a lot of people talk themselves into accepting a clear double standard just to keep the peace. Then her mother got involved. I had always gotten along with her mother well enough. She could be overbearing, but usually in the harmless way. This call was not harmless. My daughter says you've been distant and cold, she said. She's very upset. I've been respecting her boundaries about privacy, I said. I assumed that went both ways. What are you talking about? She told me her past is off limits, so I made my present off limits. That seemed fair. There was a long pause. Then she said, that is incredibly immature. She's your fiancé. She deserves to know what's going on in your life. And I'm her fiancé. Don't I deserve the same? Her past isn't relevant to your future together. Then my present isn't relevant to her either. You're twisting this. I took a breath. So a woman is entitled to privacy about her past relationships, but a man is not entitled to privacy about his own present life. Is that what you're saying? That's not what it's exactly what you said. She got angry fast after that. She called me childish. Said I was punishing her daughter over a simple boundary. Then she hung up. That whole call made one thing very clear. The double standard was not accidental. It was supported. My fiancé came home furious that night. You told my mother about our private issue. She called me, I said. Was I supposed to lie? You made me look unreasonable, I laughed, because at that point I honestly could not help it. You are being unreasonable. You want a marriage where I share everything and you share nothing. That is not a partnership. She started crying. Why can't you just let this go? Why can't you just trust me? I did trust you for 3 years, I said. Then you told me I'm not allowed to ask questions about your own life. And now you're upset because I matched your energy. You do not get to have it both ways. She slept in the guest room that night. The next morning, her phone buzzed on the kitchen counter while she was in the shower. I was not snooping. I did not pick it up. But the screen lit up and I saw the contact name. Do not answer. I did not read the text, but I remembered that contact name immediately. Who saves a number as do not answer instead of just blocking it? That same day, her sister showed up at our place without warning and walked in like she owned it. We need to talk, she said. Do we? I asked. You're being ridiculous about this. She has a right to her privacy. Agreed, I said, and I have a right to mine. It's not the same thing. People keep saying that, but nobody can explain why. Her sister actually stomped her foot, full adult tantrum. She's protecting herself. She's been hurt before. You're supposed to be safe for her. Safe means what exactly? I asked. She gets to hide things indefinitely, and I'm supposed to be an open book forever. You're making this all about you. It is about me. It's about whether I get treated like an equal partner or like someone who deserves less honesty than she does. She tried guilt next. She's been crying every night. Is that what you want? I want a mutual relationship, I said. I want to marry someone who thinks I deserve the same respect she demands. Then I added the sentence that finally landed. If she can't handle that, maybe we shouldn't be getting married. Her sister went pale. You'd really call off the wedding over this? I'd call off the wedding over what this means. Yes. That ended the visit. A couple of hours later, my fiancé came home looking wrecked. My sister said you're thinking about canceling the wedding. I'm thinking about whether I want to marry someone who thinks I deserve less honesty than she does. She looked at the floor. I'm not hiding anything bad. Then why hide it at all? There was a long silence. Finally, she said, there are things in my past that are complicated, things I'm not proud of. I just didn't want them to change how you see me. And finally, for the first time, it felt like we were getting somewhere real. What things? I asked. She shook her head. I can't tell you. And just like that, we were right back where we started. Then I can't marry you, I said. I grabbed my keys and wallet. I'm going to stay at my brother's place for a few days. We both need space to figure out what matters more here. She grabbed my arm. Please don't leave. Please, I love you. I love you too, I said. But love isn't enough when trust only goes one way. Figure out what matters more to you, keeping secrets or keeping me. You can't have both. I stayed with my brother for 4 days. He was supportive but blunt in the way older brothers are often helpful. Either she's hiding something major, he said, or she has some weird control issue. Both are bad. I know. So what's the plan? I wait, I said. I see if she chooses honesty or secrecy. And if she chooses secrecy, then I just saved myself from marrying the wrong person. During those 4 days, my phone blew up. Calls from her, calls from her mother, calls from her sister, messages from her friends saying I was being cruel. One of them even said I was emotionally abusing her by withdrawing. That was almost funny. Apparently, asking for mutual honesty was abuse, but demanding one-sided openness was somehow healthy. On the 3rd day, my friend who works at a bar downtown texted me. Not trying to start drama, he wrote, but your girl was here last night with some dude. Looked pretty cozy, thought you should know. My stomach dropped. I asked him to describe the guy. Tall, dark hair, looked expensive, he said. They were mostly arguing, then she started crying and he held her hand. I sat with that for a while. Could it have been innocent? Sure. But innocent things do not usually show up wrapped in secrecy, panic, and a contact named Do Not Answer. By the 4th day, she showed up at my brother's place. Please come home, she said. I'll explain everything. I just need you to promise you won't leave. I can't promise that until I know what I'm being asked to accept. She took a deep breath. There's someone from my past, someone I was involved with for a long time, longer than I told you. I waited. It wasn't a relationship exactly, she said. He was married. There it was, the thing in the vault. For how long, I asked. 4 years, on and off. It ended before I met you, I swear. 4 years. Not a brief mistake. Not one bad decision. 4 years of being someone's affair partner. 4 years of choices made again and again while another woman was married to him and being lied to. I asked the next question carefully. Is he the person saved as Do Not Answer in your phone? Her face went white. How do you know that? Doesn't matter. Is it him? Yes, she said, but I kept it there to remind myself not to answer. A reminder you apparently ignored 3 nights ago. That was different, she said quickly. He reached out first. He's getting divorced. He wanted to tell me in person that he made a mistake choosing her over me. I just stared at her. So while our relationship was already in crisis over trust, you met up with your married ex-affair partner at a bar. I didn't think about it like that. That's the problem, I said. You didn't think. Then I asked the question I already half knew the answer to. Have you talked to him since we got together? The pause told me everything before she ever spoke. Just a few times, she said. Nothing inappropriate, just catching up. 3 years. She had been in contact with him during our whole relationship while we built a life together, planned a wedding, and talked about trust like it meant the same thing to both of us. That was the moment the last piece of trust fell away. I want the ring back, I said. She stared at me. What? The engagement ring, I want it back. You can't just, I can and I am. We're done. Then she completely broke down, crying, begging, promising to cut all contact, swearing it meant nothing. I'll delete his number right now. Look. She grabbed her phone and deleted it in front of me. It's done. He's gone. That is not the point anymore. Then what is the point? I made a mistake. No, I said. The mistake lasted 4 years. Then it continued in smaller pieces for 3 more years while you were with me. Then you met him last week while we were in the middle of a trust crisis. And the biggest mistake of all was thinking you could demand total honesty from me while giving me none. She started crying harder. I was going to tell you eventually. When? I asked. After the wedding, after kids, after a mortgage. When exactly was the right time to mention that you spent years as someone's affair partner and never fully cut contact? She had no answer. That was answer enough. I let her cry because I am not cruel, but the decision was made. The next day, while she was at work, I went back to the apartment and packed my things. Anything clearly mine, anything I had bought, anything I had receipts for. I left her belongings exactly where they were. I was not trying to be vindictive. I was trying to be clean and final. I left the ring on the kitchen counter. Technically, I probably could have kept it, but I did not want it. I did not want anything tied to what I thought that future was supposed to be. The voicemails that followed were intense. First rage, then grief, then bargaining. Her mother called me a monster. Her sister said I would regret this. Her father, who I had actually respected, left a message saying he was disappointed and that real men do not run from complicated situations. Real men also do not marry women who maintain secret ties to married men. But apparently that part did not interest him. The worst voicemail came from her mother. You're going to die alone. No woman will ever put up with your unrealistic expectations. My expectation was simple. Tell me the truth about your life before I legally tie mine to it. If that is unrealistic, then honesty has become a luxury item. I did not respond to any of them. The breakup got ugly for a while after that. She tried to keep some of my things, then accused me of taking stuff that was hers. Luckily, I had taken photos of everything I packed with timestamps. When her lawyer got involved and saw the documentation, that whole line of attack stopped immediately. The apartment lease was in both our names. I could have dragged it out, but I wanted out clean. I paid the early termination fee, took the hit, and moved on. Sometimes a clean break costs money. It still saves you in the long run. For about 2 months, there was a quiet smear campaign. Her friends posted vague things online about toxic men and emotional manipulation. Her mother told extended family I had abandoned her daughter right before the wedding because I could not handle a strong woman. The irony was almost impressive. I never responded publicly. I never posted my side. I never named names. If mutual friends asked directly, I told them the truth. Most of them did ask eventually, and when they heard the full story, the tide changed. Not in some dramatic public way, but enough that people stopped treating me like the villain. A few of her friends even apologized privately. One of them said, I only heard her version. Yeah, I would have left too. The wedding deposits were a mess. The venue deposit was gone. The photographer deposit was gone. Her family had paid for most of it and they demanded I reimburse them. I talked to a lawyer just to be safe. His advice was simple. You're not married. You're not legally responsible. Tell them no. So I did, politely. Her mother sent me a 4-page letter about how I had destroyed her daughter's life and ruined the family financially. I kept it for documentation, not because I cared what she thought. Then one more strange thing happened. The married guy's wife, now ex-wife, reached out to me, not to attack me, not to connect over drama. She had found old messages where my ex mentioned me and she wanted to confirm I was not the person her husband had been paranoid about. We talked for about an hour. It was surreal. This woman had spent more than a decade with a man who cheated on her for 4 years of it. My 3 years suddenly felt small compared to the life she had been trying to hold together. I asked if my ex and her ex-husband were together now. She laughed in a tired, bitter way. For about 2 months, she said. Then he started texting someone from work. That answer said everything. A man who cheats with you usually has no moral problem cheating on you. Last I heard, my ex was back living with her parents. The apartment she shared with him had been in his name, and when things fell apart, he was not generous about giving her time to stay. She had burned bridges with a lot of friends. The ones who stayed close were apparently worn out from years of drama. Do I feel bad for her? A little. She is still a human being and consequences are heavy, but I do not feel responsible for fixing any of it. That stopped being my job the moment she chose secrecy over partnership. As for me, I am okay, not perfect, not fully over every part of it. Trust does not snap back overnight after something like that. I do second-guess people more than I used to. I notice gaps faster, I pay attention sooner, but I am also clearer now. I want someone who sees transparency as a gift, not a threat. Someone who understands that real intimacy is not just sharing the polished version of yourself. It is trusting the other person with the parts you are not proud of too. My brother asked me later if I regretted the way I handled it, especially the part where I matched her energy and stopped sharing my present. No, I told him, because it worked. If I had simply accepted her rule, we probably would have gotten married. I would have found out the truth later, maybe after kids, after loans, after years of building a life on a foundation that was already cracked. She gave me the exit sign early. I just had to be stubborn enough to read it. He raised his beer and said, "To stubbornness." I told him, "To self-respect, same difference sometimes." And that is really where the story ends, not with revenge, not with some perfect closure, just with clarity. Some boundaries are healthy. Not every detail of a person's life has to be shared instantly. But when someone demands access to your life while denying you the same access to theirs, that is not a healthy boundary. It is a wall, and walls do not belong in a marriage. Before we close, here are the lessons I took from all of it. Lesson 1. A boundary that only protects one person's comfort while damaging the other person's trust is not healthy. Lesson 2. If someone demands openness from you while offering secrecy in return, that is not partnership. It is control. Lesson 3. When a person suddenly becomes defensive about a normal question, pay attention. That reaction usually matters more than the answer would have. Lesson 4. Love is not enough when honesty only flows in one direction. Lesson 5. Walking away before the wedding can save you from years of trying to fix a marriage built on half-truths. What would you have done if your fiancée suddenly declared her past off-limits right before the wedding? And do you think matching her energy was the right move, or would you have handled it another way?